Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a look at something called the Fractal Identity Map, FI.
Oh, fun.
FIM.
Yeah,
And our sources are positioning this as, well, a pretty significant 0-to-1 technology for organizations.
that's right. Not just an improvement, but something genuinely new. It's aimed at fixing this really deep-seated problem, this kind of systemic waste, and honestly, suffering within companies.
Okay, suffering. So we've got the documentation here, philosophy, architecture, market strategy. Let's unpack it. What exactly is this sickness FIM is supposed to cure?
Yeah, so the core issue, the sickness, is this chronic organizational suffering. And it stems from everyone operating on slightly different versions of reality, a misaligned shared reality.
Okay. And how does that show up? What do leaders actually feel?
Well, there are two main symptoms they talk about, really painful ones.
Okay.
First, there's decision fog. You know that feeling? You've got to make a huge, maybe 9-figure decision.
Yeah.
But you're working off conflicting reports, PowerPoints telling different stories, maybe some anecdotes. Not solid ground.
Right. Relying on proxies instead of truth.
Exactly. And the second symptom, which financially might be even worse, is the trust tax.
The trust tax. That sounds like
Yeah.
all the bureaucratic drag, the
Yeah.
doubt.
It's precisely that. It's the friction that just bleeds money and time. Think about redundant meetings checking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or those defensive emails, the CYA emails, just for the audit trail.
Totally. Covering your back.
And just the sheer hours spent trying to figure out why your numbers don't match their numbers when it should all be aligned anyway, it's massive waste.
And they try to quantify this.
They do. There's a formula in the docs: trust, debt, drift, S, intent, reality. Basically, the gap between what you think is happening and what is happening, multiplied by how much things are drifting apart.
So if you can measure trust debt, you can manage it. Or maybe even eliminate it.
That's the promise.
Okay, so our mission today is clear. We need to get the flavor of how they're selling this: relief, clarity, confidence. Then dig into the architecture, how it supposedly grounds reality. And finally, how do you actually sell something this fundamental? How does it integrate? So this sales pitch, it really leans into relief, doesn't it? Not features, not tech specs.
Exactly. It's not buy our database. It's stop guessing. It's selling the ability to actually trust your organization's data again, because now supposedly you can measure that trust.
And the promise is pretty bold. Making the health of your shared reality as visible and tangible as its financial statements.
Right. And to make that concrete, they use this really sticky analogy.
Ah, the meme.
Yeah, the central meme. Give your company a nervous system.
Okay. That's catchy. Why does that land so well?
Well, think about how companies run now. Disconnected dashboards, right? Spreadsheets emailed around, quarterly reports.
It's like driving by looking only in the rearview mirror, but only glancing every few weeks.
Exactly. It's like trying to live your life based on doctor's checkups every 3 months. You're always finding out about problems after they've happened, usually last quarter's problems.
Right. Reactive.
But a biological nervous system that gives you real-time holistic feedback. It coordinates everything almost unconsciously.
So FIM wants to be that for organizational information.
Pretty much. The architecture is designed to mirror it. The FIM's hierarchy, its structure, acts like the spinal cord. It routes information efficiently without needing constant translation between departments or systems.
Okay, spinal cord makes sense for structure. But what about the feeling part? How does it sense problems before they blow up, like, pain?
Ah, good question. That's where drift detection comes in. This is key. FIM watches for concepts that should be independent, starting to correlate more strongly.
What does that mean, practically?
Imagine you have two distinct internal definitions, say, for active user and engaged customer. They should mean different things. If the system detects the usage patterns of those two terms starting to blur, to overlap statistically more than they should, that's drift. That's the system feeling pain.
So the correlation increases like a nerve firing.
Exactly. It's a warning signal, an early one. It tells you there's misalignment, potential trust debt building up, way before it shows up in your quarterly results or a failed project. It's almost precognitive.
And they talk about semantic muscle memory, too.
Yeah, that's the idea that once concepts are locked into this structure, navigating them becomes automatic, like a reflex. The system learns.
So it's a fundamental shift. Your dashboards tell you what happened. This nervous system, potentially, lets you feel what's happening right now, or even what's about to happen.
Okay, so if the nervous system gives us this real-time feedback, the next question is, why do we need it so badly? What's so broken about the current state?
And this gets into the really deep stuff, doesn't it? The schism between two kinds of reality.
Exactly. This is foundational to FIM's argument. We're operating with two distinct dimensions, human reality and technological reality, and they don't play well together.
Okay, human reality. That's
Yeah.
us, the
You're
physical
right.
world.
Yeah, it's grounded, it's stable mostly. Physics provides resistance, error correction. Think neurons that wire together, fire together. Concepts have a physical basis, they have stability.
Makes sense. And technological reality.
That's the realm of abstract data. It's
Hmm.
inherently ungrounded, unstable. And they trace this right back to a foundational decision in computer science from 50 years ago, Codd's relational model.
Separating the logical data, what it means from the physical storage where it lives. That sounds
Right.
like standard practice. Why is that the villain here?
Well, it's standard, yes, but think about the consequence. Technology in this model essentially lacks gravity.
Lacks gravity.
Yeah, when data is just defined by abstract relationships, logically, and not tied to a fixed physical location or shape, concepts can just drift effortlessly.
So I call something revenue in one system and Q3 earnings in another spreadsheet.
And the system itself has no inherent way to know they must mean the same thing or how they relate precisely. There's no physical resistance holding them together. They exist in, like, different galaxies conceptually. Drift is easy. Stability is hard work.
And that creates the grounding problem. Technology isn't anchored.
Precisely. And the real danger of that emerges in what the sources call the uncanny valley of expertise.
Okay, that sounds bad. What is it?
It's that situation where you interact with a complex system, like, say, a sophisticated AI or a massive data model, and you ask it about something you know a lot about, but you're not the world expert.
Right, you're almost an expert.
Almost. The system gives you an answer that looks plausible, it sounds sophisticated, it uses the right jargon, but because you're not the ultimate expert, you can't quite spot the subtle ways its underlying concepts have drifted.
So it's generating plausible nonsense.
Plausible, subtly misaligned nonsense, and you lose the ability to trust your own intuition to catch the error. The risk there, operationally, is huge. You make bad decisions based on flawed but convincing output.
Wow, okay. So FIM is positioned as the solution, the bridge.
That's the claim. It solves the grounding problem by, and this is their language, giving technology a body.
A body, how?
It turns abstract meaning semantics into a physical geometric structure, like a map. A data point's meaning is its location on this map.
So drift isn't just a statistical measure anymore.
No, it's a visible geometric distortion. Think of it like tectonic plates shifting on that map. You can literally see the concepts moving relative to each other.
And that allows us to use our human intuition again, our pattern recognition.
Exactly. Our brains are evolved to understand spatial relationships, changes in landscapes. FIM translates the abstract data problem into a format our intuition can grasp. You can see the misalignment.
Okay, building this body for data, it sounds like a massive undertaking. And the sources bring up a cautionary tale, right? Open doc from the 90s.
Yeah. The lesson there was apparently quite painful. To achieve something truly 0 to 1, something potentially worth, $8 billion as they frame it, you can't just offer a flexible toolkit that people assemble themselves.
You mean?
You need the tyranny of a cohesive vision. It has to be opinionated, highly opinionated. FIM isn't a box of Lego. It's described as a perfectly forged scalpel, designed for a specific purpose with a very specific philosophy.
And that core philosophy, that opinion is?
Shape IS symbol. That's the dogma. Non-negotiable.
Shape IS symbol, meaning the physical structure.
The geometric location of the data point in memory is its meaning. There's no translation layer, no interpretation step where drift can creep in. They eliminate the abstraction layers that traditional databases rely on.
Okay, but hold on. It sounds like it goes against like decades of standard computer science practice. Abstraction is usually seen as a good thing, right, for flexibility.
It does go against the grain. But they argue that violation is the source of the power and the performance gains.
Ah, yes, the 361x performance gain. That number jumps out. How does shape IS symbol lead to that? It sounds almost unbelievable.
Well, the argument is that conventional systems spend enormous resources just managing the abstraction, translating between the logical meaning and the physical storage, constantly reconciling things, dealing with the lack of gravity we talked about.
Okay.
FA, by baking the meaning into the physical structure, bypasses all that overhead. The intelligence isn't in some clever algorithm running on top of the data. It's inherent in the data's shape. It's fundamentally more efficient because it's not constantly fighting conceptual drift internally.
So the structure is the computation. in a way.
That's a good way to put it.
But okay, even if it's brilliant, it's opinionated,
Yeah.
rigid. You can't just rip and replace everything in a huge company overnight. How do they get a foot in the door? How does it integrate?
Right. You can't sell the whole nervous system day one. They use a classic beachhead strategy.
Find one specific high pain point.
Exactly. Find a single high-stakes problem where the trust tax is absolutely killing them, where the cost of misalignment is undeniable, maybe even existential. You go in, fix that specific problem with FIM's unified structure.
And the success there pulls other areas towards it.
That's the idea. Prove the value, demonstrate the clarity and relief in one critical spot, and make the pain of not using it elsewhere more obvious.
So where are these beachheads? What are the examples of crippling trust debt they're targeting first?
The sources list a few key ones. First, AI trust insurance for brain-computer interfaces, BCIs.
Whoa, okay, high stakes.
Extremely. If you're connecting minds to machines, the alignment between neural intent and what the machine actually does. Well, misalignment there is catastrophic. Safety critical. FIM is pitched as guaranteeing that semantic alignment.
Makes sense. What else?
Sales and marketing alignment. This is a classic. Billions wasted globally because sales and marketing have slightly different, constantly drifting definitions of a qualified lead or a customer journey.
Right. The friction is huge. Wasted ad spend, sales reps chasing ghosts.
FIM aims to create one single, shared, physicalized map of those concepts that both teams use. No more translation errors, no more drift.
Okay. BCI safety, sales and marketing friction. What's a third beachhead?
Semantic version control for software development, especially large, complex projects.
How does that work? Version control is usually about text diffs.
Right now, yeah. When two developers change related code, you get these messy textual merge conflicts that take ages to resolve.
Ugh, yes. Painful.
The idea here is if the underlying concepts in the code are geometrically defined within FIM, a merge conflict isn't just text clashing. It becomes a solvable mathematical problem about reconciling geometric shapes. They claim this could yield like a 10x productivity boost just by killing that reconciliation hell.
Turn merge conflicts into math problems. Interesting.
Yeah. And once they're in via these beachheads, they apparently segment the market further, talking to the 5 tribes, as they call them.
5 tries.
Different user profiles, like selling the precognition aspect, the early drift detection, to people they call drift detectives. Or creating a valuation model for trust debt. The FIM Scholes model, they even call it to appeal to the insurance profits, the risk managers. It's about creating specific value propositions for specific roles, all based on quantifying trust.
Okay, let's pull back for a second. We've talked architecture, market strategy, but what's the simple foundational truth driving all this? The core principle.
It boils down to something incredibly simple, something you intuitively know. A sorted list takes less cognitive energy to make sense of than a random list.
Right. Order is easier than chaos.
Exactly. The FIM is essentially taking that principle and applying it across the entire complex reality of an organization's concepts and data. It's saying that misalignment, drift, chaos, that's wasted energy. And that wasted energy manifests as human suffering, frustration, confusion, duplicated work, and obviously lost profit.
So there's selling order, reducing cognitive load on an organizational scale.
Precisely. Reducing the energy wasted and just figuring out what things mean and if you can trust them.
Now, let's quickly revisit the brain analogy, because the sources really emphasize the architectural parallels, using it to justify, well, the likely premium pricing. How technically close is the FIM architecture to biological systems?
It's quite deliberate. They highlight specific isomorphisms. For instance, remember trust debt.
Yeah, the accumulated drift.
Architecturally, they compare its accumulation mechanism directly to the pathology of Alzheimer's progression. The way semantic drift accumulates in FIM mirrors how synaptic drift or plaque might build up in the brain.
Wow.
And crucially, FIM can detect this pathological drift in milliseconds, potentially decades before the organization shows, cognitive symptoms like failed projects or market misses. You're paying for an early warning system based on a proven biological blueprint for how things decay.
That's a powerful comparison for justifying value. But complex systems, complex brains, they need efficiency. How does FIM avoid getting bogged down as data scales? It sounds like these geometric structures could become unwieldy.
Good point. They use a technique called orthogonal decomposition, which sounds fancy, but...
Break it down.
Okay, think about how your brain processes vision. It doesn't just have one giant neuron trying to understand everything it sees, right?
No, it has specialized areas, Edges, colors, motion.
Exactly. Separate specialized processing units. That's kind of what orthogonal decomposition does for concepts in FIM. Instead of one massive interconnected filing cabinet where everything vaguely relates to everything else, which is often what happens in big data systems,
Hmm?
FI actively forces concepts into distinct, separate, non-overlapping structures. It maintains conceptual hygiene.
So it creates these independent feature detectors for meaning, like the brain's cortical columns.
That's the analogy they draw, yes. Cortical columns handle specific features independently. Femin tries to do the same for semantic features. This separation is key to efficiency. The system isn't constantly trying to untangle overlapping or ambiguous meanings.
And this separation also helps with explainability. They mentioned OE explainability.
You're right. This is crucial for trust. If a system makes a decision, especially a complex one, you need to know why.
Absolutely. Black boxes are dangerous.
FM structure means the cost, the effort of explaining a decision depends only on how deep that concept is in the organizational hierarchy, how many steps you need to trace back. It doesn't depend on the total size of all the data in the system.
So explanations stay fast and efficient, even in huge systems.
That's the claim. Just like visual processing in the brain moves efficiently up the cortical hierarchy, V1 to V2 to V4, etc., explanations in FEM follow the hierarchy linearly. Fast, traceable explanations build trust and directly combat that decision fog we started with. Hashtag outro.
So when you boil it all down, what you're really buying with FEM isn't just software. It's the ROI of a shared reality. It's the confidence boost that comes from knowing your data isn't subtly lying to you.
Yeah, it's about eliminating that gnawing organizational anxiety, reducing the actual human suffering caused by systemic waste and mistrust. That's a powerful pitch. And thinking bigger picture, FEM isn't just positioned as a tool, it's framed as potentially creating a whole new market, maybe trillions of dollars, by finally making trust debt something currently unpriceable, quantifiable, and therefore manageable.
A market for trust itself.
Right. So, the final thought maybe for you, the listener, is this. If a system like FEM can actually create a way to physically trace the cognitive health of an organization, or even an AI, if it can provide real-time, objective measures of conceptual drift, what does that really mean for the future? Think about the viability of things like AI trust insurance, or the massive global challenge of how we reliably price trust in any complex system. That's the big question FEMN seems to be asking.